Admiral Jackson stood alone in the observation gallery, his weathered face illuminated by the blue-green glow of Earth below. The massive council chambers stretched behind him, now empty after the storm of voices that had filled it hours before. His decision would change the course of human history forever. 3 days earlier, Ambassador Alex Morgan arrived at Nexus Station with grim determination. The massive ring structure orbited a neutron star at the galaxy's center, housing the Galactic Council headquarters, where 27 spacefaring civilizations debated interstellar policy. Morgan's diplomatic shuttle docked alongside sleek vessels from across the known universe. Final approach to Nexus Station, the pilot announced. Council session begins in 2 hours. Morgan nodded, reviewing his notes one last time. After 15 years representing humanity in the Council, he knew this would likely be his final appearance. "Are we really doing this?" asked Ryan Chen, his young aide, withdrawing completely. Morgan glanced at Commander Olivia Wright, the military attaché who had accompanied him on every mission since Earth joined the Council. "They've left us no choice," she said, checking her sidearm, a gesture more habit than necessity in the disarmed diplomatic zone. The council chamber itself intimidated by design. Curved walls soared hundreds of feet upward, dotted with anti-gravity platforms where delegates from various species conducted their business. Humans, being relatively new to interstellar politics, occupied a lower platform near the chamber floor. The session began like any other, with procedural matters and minor disputes between member species. Morgan sat quietly, waiting for Earth's petition to be heard. "The Council recognizes Ambassador Morgan of Earth," announced High Chancellor Vereen, a tall crystalline being whose voice resonated unnaturally through the chamber. Morgan stood. "Esteemed members of the Council, I come before you to address ongoing concerns regarding technology sharing provisions under Section 17 of the Membership Accords." A ripple of murmurs spread through the chamber. The Drakari representative, Ambassador Shulek, huffed audibly, his scaled skin flushing purple with annoyance. "Earth again requests access to terraforming technologies currently restricted to Tier 1 members," Morgan continued. "Our colony on Proxima Centauri faces catastrophic crop failures. Without assistance, millions will starve." Chancellor Vereen's crystalline form pulsed with blue light, a sign of displeasure. "The Council has reviewed Earth's petition and finds your species has not demonstrated sufficient technological maturity for such access." Maturity. Morgan's voice remained calm despite his rising anger. 3 years ago, humans developed an independent solution for atmospheric stabilization. Your Council classified it as dangerous and restricted its use. Ambassador Toril of the Mentori leaned forward. "Human approaches lack finesse. Your solutions often have unintended consequences." "What Toril means," interrupted Shulak, "is that humans are too reckless. You rush forward without consideration. The Council protects you from yourselves." Morgan felt 15 years of frustration building to a breaking point. Every petition denied. Every innovation restricted. Every human achievement dismissed as primitive or dangerous. "Protection?" Morgan asked. "Or control? While our colonies struggle, Council worlds flourish using technologies we're denied access to." Chancellor Vereen's tone sharpened. "Ambassador Morgan, this emotional display only reinforces the Council's decision. Then perhaps the Council's guidance no longer serves humanity's interests." Morgan replied quietly. The chamber fell silent. Morgan took a deep breath. "For 15 years, Earth has followed Council directives. We've contributed resources, scientific knowledge, and cultural artifacts. In return, we've received patronizing lectures and artificial limitations." Commander Wright stood beside him now, her presence a silent statement of military support. "Humanity did not cross the stars to become subservient," Morgan continued. "Effective immediately, Earth withdraws from the Galactic Council and all associated treaties." Chaos erupted. Some delegates shouted protests. Others whispered urgently to advisors. A few simply stared in shock. Chancellor Varine's crystalline form pulsed bright red. Ambassador, reconsider this rash action. Without Council protection, Earth stands alone against the dangers of this galaxy. Morgan smiled slightly. Perhaps that's exactly what humanity needs. As he turned to leave, Ambassador Toril called out, "You doom your species, Morgan. No world survives alone." Morgan paused at the chamber doors. Then watch closely what happens next. Morgan's shuttle glided through Earth's atmosphere 3 days after the dramatic Council exit. Through the viewport, he watched the gleaming spires of New Washington grow larger. The capital had transformed during his 15-year diplomatic post, a testament to humanity's growth despite Council restrictions. Commander Wright sat beside him, reviewing security reports on her tablet. "Public reaction is mixed," she said. 60% support withdrawal. The rest fear retaliation. Morgan nodded. "They're right to worry. The Council won't let us go easily." The shuttle landed on the government complex rooftop where a small reception waited. No fanfare, no celebration. Just grim-faced officials aware of the challenges ahead. President Eric Daniels greeted them with a firm handshake. "Bold move, Ambassador. The Security Council is waiting." They descended to the underground war room, where Earth's highest leaders had gathered. Military officers, science directors, colonial representatives, all faces Morgan recognized from briefings, but had rarely met in person during his years off-world. "Ambassador Morgan," began President Daniels once everyone was seated, "you've thrown us into uncharted territory. What should we expect?" Morgan stood before the circular table. "Economic sanctions first. They'll cut off established trade routes and pressure neutral worlds to avoid human goods. Military action is unlikely at first. The Council prefers to exhaust diplomatic options before force." Dr. Sam Foster, head of Earth's Science Directorate, raised her hand. "What about technological restrictions? We've relied on Council-approved tech for everything from medicine to space travel." "That's our greatest vulnerability," Morgan admitted. "Our best ships still use outdated drive systems the Council deemed appropriate for our development level." General Ben Rivera, Earth Defense Force Commander, leaned forward. "My analysts report we could hold off a minor Council force, but a full invasion would overwhelm us within weeks." The room fell silent as the reality sank in. "Then we need to move quickly," said Morgan. "The Council believes we're dependent on their guidance and protection. We must prove otherwise." President Daniels nodded. "What do you propose?" "Operation Self-Reliance," Morgan replied, activating the room's holographic display. "A three-pronged approach. Accelerate independent research, establish alternative trade networks, and prepare defensive measures." Dr. Foster stood up. "My team has kept unofficial projects running despite Council restrictions. With proper funding, we could have breakthroughs within months rather than years. My colonial contacts report several non-Council worlds interested in direct trade," added Kate Wilson, Commerce Secretary. "They've chafed under Council regulations too." General Rivera tapped his screen. "I've prepared contingency plans for strengthening our defenses. We'll need to reposition our fleet to protect key colonies." President Daniels surveyed the room. "This won't be easy. We've lived under Council oversight since first contact. Some of our people will resist change." "Better resistance than submission," said Commander Wright, speaking for the first time since entering. "I've seen how the Council treats species who don't challenge them. We'd become glorified servants within a generation." Morgan moved to the central display, bringing up an image of Earth surrounded by its colonies. Humanity thrived for thousands of years before discovering we weren't alone. We built civilizations, reached for the stars, overcame countless challenges, all without alien guidance. The Council sees this independence as dangerous, he continued. They've spent centuries ensuring no new species disrupts their power structure. Our withdrawal threatens everything they've built. President Daniels stood, decision made. Operation Self-Reliance begins immediately. Dr. Foster, you have unlimited resources for your research. Secretary Wilson, establish those trade contacts. General Rivera, prepare our defenses without provocation. As the meeting dissolved into action plans, Morgan watched from the side, both proud and concerned. Humanity stood alone now, exactly as it had been before reaching the stars. The real test was just beginning. 6 months after Earth's withdrawal from the Council, engineer Lisa Patel stood in her laboratory beneath the Rocky Mountains. Surrounded by equipment the Council would have restricted, she watched her creation pulse with blue-white energy. Power stable at 120%, reported her assistant, Alan Brooks. No signs of degradation in the containment field. Lisa allowed herself a small smile. Run the final sequence. The engine core, barely larger than a basketball, hummed louder as its light brightened. Equations flashed across surrounding screens, confirming what Lisa already knew. They had done it. Mass reduction reaching critical threshold, Alan announced, excitement breaking through his professional tone. Field separation in 3, 2, 1. The engine briefly flared, then settled into a steady, low-intensity glow. The room erupted in applause as technicians embraced each other. Lisa's hand trembled as she reached for the secure line to Washington. Dr. Foster, the paddle drive works. We're ready for ship integration. 200 miles above Earth, the skeletal frame of humanity's first truly independent starship waited in the orbital shipyard. Unlike the bulky vessels built under Council restrictions, this ship, already named the Independence, would be capable of speeds the Council had deemed too dangerous for human use. Dr. Sam Foster received the news in the White House Situation Room, where Earth's leadership had gathered for their weekly progress meeting. Lisa did it, she announced to the room. The drive works even better than predicted. President Daniels nodded appreciatively. How soon until the Independence can launch? 3 weeks, replied Admiral Rivera. We've been preparing the ship in parallel with the engine development. Morgan, now serving as strategic advisor, studied the reports with cautious optimism. Any word from the border colonies? Commander Wright, recently promoted to head Earth Intelligence, tapped her tablet. Strange activity in the Arcturus sector. Council ships have been observed scanning our outposts more frequently. And this arrived yesterday. She played a recorded message from Chancellor Vereen. The crystalline being's form pulsed with unsettling patterns as it spoke. Earth authorities, our sensors detect prohibited research activities within your solar system. These efforts violate technological development treaties you agreed to upon first contact. Cease these dangerous experiments immediately or face corrective action. The Council only wishes to protect less developed species from harming themselves. President Daniels muted the recording. Still treating us like children, while they prepare to punish us, added Morgan. Their definition of corrective action rarely involves peaceful measures. Dr. Foster looked troubled. Should we delay the Independence launch? No, said Morgan firmly. That's exactly what they want, to intimidate us back into compliance. Every day we hesitate gives them time to mobilize against us. I agree, said Rivera, but we should accelerate the defensive upgrades on our colonies. If the Council decides to make an example of us, they'll target our most vulnerable outposts first. 2 weeks later, humanity watched as the Independence broke free from Earth's orbit. Sleek and powerful, the ship represented everything the Council had tried to prevent. Human innovation unconstrained by alien oversight. From his office, Morgan watched the launch broadcast with mixed emotions. Pride in what humanity had accomplished so quickly, worry about what would come next. His secure line chimed. Morgan here. Sir, came the urgent voice of a colonial administrator from Ta City. Council ships just entered our system. They're demanding inspection access to our research facilities. Before Morgan could respond, another call came through. Then another. Similar reports from colonies across human space. On the screen, the Independence accelerated toward its first test destination. Its wake glowed with energy the Council had insisted humans couldn't safely control. The gathering storm had arrived sooner than expected. On Nexus Station, Chancellor Vereen watched similar feeds with growing alarm. They've developed fold space technology, the crystalline being announced to the emergency council session. Humanity must be contained before it's too late. The vote was unanimous. 2 years after Earth's withdrawal, Fleet Admiral Jack Reynolds stood on the bridge of the EDF Defiance, humanity's newest warship. Through the viewport, he watched smaller vessels escort merchant ships from New Corvey, one of several non-council species now trading openly with humans. Another successful exchange, Admiral, reported Captain Diane Miller. Medical supplies for their gravitational stabilizers. Reynolds nodded, but his attention remained fixed on the long-range sensor display. Council patrol vessels had been spotted increasingly close to human trade routes. "Any word from our intelligence assets?" he asked. "Just received this, sir." Captain Miller handed him a secure tablet. "Decoded 20 minutes ago." Reynolds read the report with growing concern. Earth intelligence had intercepted Council communications, revealing a planned blockade of all human territories. The official justification would be quarantine of dangerous technological contamination. But the real purpose was clear: starve humanity into submission. "Set course for Earth, maximum speed," Reynolds ordered, "and send a priority alert to all human vessels. The Council is making its move." Back on Earth, President Daniels had convened an emergency session with his Security Council. Morgan, now serving as Special Advisor for Extraterrestrial Affairs, presented evidence of Council ships massing near key jump points. "They've been patient," Morgan explained, "building their forces slowly to avoid triggering an immediate response. But the blockade is only the beginning." Dr. Foster, whose scientific breakthroughs had accelerated human technological development, looked grim. "How much time do we have?" "Days, not weeks," replied Commander Wright. "Our intelligence suggests they plan to offer terms. Return to Council oversight with reduced status or face complete isolation." "And if we refuse both options?" asked President Daniels. Morgan's expression darkened. "Then they'll demonstrate the consequences of defiance, probably by seizing one of our more isolated research stations." As if summoned by his words, an urgent message flashed across the Situation Room's main screen. Council warships had surrounded the deep space research platform Horizon near the Sirius system. Platform Horizon reports 5 Council heavy cruisers demanding immediate surrender, announced the communications officer. "They claim the facility is conducting prohibited research." "That's our quantum communications hub," Dr. Foster said quietly. "If they take it intact, they'll gain access to our secure network." President Daniels stood, decision made. "Order Horizon to initiate Protocol Firewall." Protocol Firewall, the scorched earth policy developed after withdrawal, meant destroying all advanced technology, rather than allowing it to fall into Council hands. "Sir," the communications officer interrupted, "Horizon reports Council ships have launched boarding craft. Defense systems are engaged, but they can't hold out long enough for Protocol Firewall to complete." Admiral Reynolds, who had joined via secure link from the Defiance, spoke up. "The EDF Interceptor and Guardian are within response range. They can reach Horizon in 17 minutes. And provoke open warfare," Morgan cautioned. "Which is coming regardless," countered Commander Wright. "Better to choose the battlefield than have it forced upon us." President Daniels paced the room once before stopping. "Launch the defense, but make our intentions clear. We're protecting our territory, not initiating conflict." Within minutes, humanity officially entered a state of war with the Galactic Council. The battle for Horizon became the first test of human military capability against Council forces. The Interceptor and Guardian arrived just as Council troops breached the station's outer defenses. What followed shocked observers on both sides. Human ships, equipped with paddle drives and new shield technology, moved with unexpected speed and resilience. Council weapons designed to overpower conventional defenses struggled against the adaptive shields. When the battle ended, 2 Council cruisers had retreated with heavy damage. One had been captured intact, an unprecedented victory against the supposedly superior force. As cleanup operations began, Admiral Reynolds received an unexpected communication from the Defiance. "Sir," said the communications officer, "we're receiving a transmission on a frequency I've never seen before. They claim to be representatives of something called the Navari Collective. They say they've been watching us, and they want to talk." The Grand Council chamber on Nexus Station hummed with angry voices. High Chancellor Varine's crystalline form pulsed with deep red as the emergency session began. "The humans have destroyed 2 of our vessels and captured a 3rd, Varine announced, silencing the chamber. "This act of war cannot stand." Ambassador Shellac of the Drakari rose on his platform. "I move to formally declare humans a rogue species. Their technological development has exceeded safe parameters." The vote was swift and unanimous. For the first time in 3 centuries, the Council authorized full military action against a former member. "Deploy the enforcement fleet," ordered Chancellor Varine. "Humanity must be contained before they destabilize the galactic order." On Earth, President Daniels received the declaration with grim resolve. Earth's leadership gathered in the reinforced command center beneath New Washington as reports arrived of Council fleets mobilizing throughout the galaxy. "Their main force will reach our outer colonies within 5 days, reported Admiral Reynolds via a secure channel from the Defiance. "But there's something else you need to see." The main screen activated, showing a being unlike any in Council records. Tall and slender with iridescent skin that shifted colors like oil on water, it stood flanked by 2 human officers. "This is Kirath of the Navari Collective," Reynolds explained. "They'd been monitoring our conflict with the Council." President Daniels leaned forward. "The Navari? I've never heard of them." Morgan stepped closer to the screen. "No Council records mention this species." Kirath spoke, voice melodic and strangely harmonized. "Because the Council erased us from official history long ago. We were the first to resist their guidance." "The Navari reached space travel approximately 2,000 Earth years ago," Reynolds explained. "According to Kirath, they were approached by the Council much as we were. But unlike humans, we accepted their terms without question," continued Kirath. "For centuries, we followed Council directives, restricted our research, and limited our expansion. When we finally questioned these limitations, the Council response was decisive. Images appeared showing devastated worlds and shattered fleets. The Council declared us unstable and dangerous," said Kirath. "Our remaining populations were relocated to protected habitats, isolated worlds under constant surveillance." "How did you contact us?" asked Commander Wright, suspicion evident in her voice. "We've maintained hidden outposts throughout Council space," Kirath replied. "Your withdrawal caught our attention. Your successful resistance at Horizon confirmed our hopes." "What hopes?" President Daniels asked. "That humanity might succeed where we failed," said Kirath simply. "You are not the first species the Council has suppressed, but you are the first to effectively resist them." Morgan's eyes widened with realization. "There are others." Kirath nodded. "Many. The Esplith, whose gravitational technology the Council claimed was too dangerous. The Zora Collective, whose biological sciences were deemed ethically problematic. The Vex, whose computational abilities threatened Council information control. All reduced to client states or worse," added Reynolds. "Kirath has provided evidence confirming everything." President Daniels studied the alien carefully. "Why come to us now?" "Because the Council fears you more than they have feared any species in millennia," said Kirath. "Your adaptability, your willingness to take risks, these qualities terrify them. They will commit their full strength to crushing humanity." "And you want to help us fight?" asked Commander Wright. "We want to help you win," corrected Kirath. "The Navari Collective has maintained secret technological development for centuries. We have resources hidden throughout the galaxy, and we are not alone in our desire to see the Council's power broken." President Daniels exchanged glances with his advisors. "What exactly are you proposing?" "An alliance," said Kirath. Not just with the Navari, but with all species oppressed by Council doctrine. Humanity has shown that resistance is possible. We can provide technologies, resources, and intelligence the Council doesn't know exists. As if to emphasize the point, alarms suddenly blared throughout the command center. Council fleet detected approaching Alpha Centauri, announced the tactical officer. Estimated arrival in 48 hours. President Daniels faced Kirath with newfound resolve. It seems our alliance begins under fire. Welcome to the resistance, Ambassador. The battle for Alpha Centauri began at dawn, Earth Standard Time. Council warships emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, 120 vessels arranged in the traditional crescent pattern that had broken planetary defenses for millennia. Admiral Reynolds watched from the bridge of the Defiance as the massive fleet approached the colony world. Behind him, officers maintained disciplined silence despite the overwhelming odds. All ships report ready, Admiral, announced Captain Miller. Defense platforms activated. Reynolds nodded, studying the tactical display. The human fleet consisted of just 37 vessels, all that could be assembled on short notice. Yet they carried technologies no Council strategist could anticipate. Begin Operation Scattered Sun, ordered Reynolds. Human ships broke formation, moving in seemingly random patterns the Council tacticians would interpret as panic. It was anything but. Aboard the Council command ship Inevitable Justice, Fleet Commander Zox observed the chaotic human movements with satisfaction. Predictable. The insectoid commander chittered to his officers. They flee before our superior force. His tactical officer hesitated. Sir, the human vessels are behaving strangely. They're not retreating along expected vectors. Irrelevant. Dismissed Zox. Deploy Phase 1 attack pattern. Target their largest vessels first. Council ships advanced with practiced precision, energy weapons charging as they closed distance. For centuries, this approach had overwhelmed less advanced civilizations. What happened next sent shockwaves throughout Council space. As the first energy barrages struck, human vessels activated Dr. Gray Harris' experimental shield technology. Instead of merely absorbing the attacks, the shields redirected energy along their hulls, and then, impossibly, channeled it back toward the attackers. Council vessels reeled as their own weapons fire reflected against their defenses. Free exploded immediately, their containment fields overloaded. Impossible, shouted Commander Zox. No species at their development level could create reflective shielding. While the Council fleet regrouped, human ships executed the second phase of their strategy. Smaller vessels suddenly accelerated to speeds Council sensors couldn't track, using modified paddle drives to perform maneuvers Council tactical doctrine classified as physically impossible. These ships darted between larger Council vessels, deploying specialized disruptor devices developed through the Navari Alliance. Council ships found their communications scrambled, their targeting systems compromised. They're not fighting according to any known doctrine, reported Zox's increasingly panicked tactical officer. Their attack patterns appear irrational. Because they are, responded Kirath, who observed the battle alongside President Daniels from Earth Command. Council military strategy relies on predictable, logical responses. Human unpredictability is your greatest weapon. Reynolds had embraced this concept fully. Human captains were given mission objectives, but complete tactical freedom. A command structure the rigid Council hierarchy couldn't comprehend. As the battle entered its third hour, Council discipline began crumbling. Individual ship commanders, unable to receive clear orders, responded differently to the chaotic human attacks. Some advanced aggressively, others retreated to defensive positions. The once perfect formation dissolved. Now, ordered Reynolds, initiating the final phase. From the far side of Alpha Centauri's sun, 5 massive human carriers emerged from hiding. These vessels, secretly constructed in the months since withdrawal, launched waves of fighter craft using technology the Navari had provided. These small, agile ships swarmed through the disorganized Council fleet, targeting propulsion systems and weapons with surgical precision. Unlike Council doctrine, which prioritized destroying enemy vessels, human strategy focused on disabling them. Commander Zox watched in horror as ship after ship reported critical failures. When his own flagship lost engine power, he made an unprecedented decision. Signal retreat, he ordered, voice subdued. All functioning vessels to cover withdrawal. As surviving Council ships fled, leaving their disabled companions behind, news of the impossible human victory spread across secure channels throughout the galaxy. Species long suppressed by Council doctrine watched in stunned silence as the undefeated enforcement fleet retreated from a primitive opponent. On the Defiance, Admiral Reynolds allowed himself no celebration. "Prepare for pursuit," he ordered, "and send word to Earth. The Council will regroup, and next time, they'll come in force." 3 months after the Alpha Centauri victory, Earth waited for the final confrontation. Intelligence from Navari sources confirmed what humanity had expected. The Council had recalled forces from throughout their territory to form the largest battle fleet ever assembled. "They'll reach Sol system in 6 hours," reported Commander Wright during the final War Council. 472 vessels, including their dreadnoughts. Around the table sat representatives not just from Earth, but from a dozen formerly oppressed species who had joined the growing resistance. Each had contributed their closely guarded technologies and knowledge to the defense of humanity's home system. "Are the resonance arrays in position?" asked President Daniels. Dr. Foster nodded. "All 9 are operational. If the Council follows standard attack protocols, they'll trigger automatically." These massive structures, built using Esplith gravitational technology, remained invisible to Council sensors. They waited in carefully calculated positions throughout the outer solar system. Morgan, who had helped coordinate diplomatic efforts with their new allies, turned to Kirath. "What's the status of the other fronts?" The Navari skin rippled with deep purple patterns. Resistance forces have engaged Council outposts in 7 sectors. The Zora Collective has liberated 2 of their former worlds. The Council is stretched thin. They've committed everything to crushing Earth. "Which makes this our opportunity," said Admiral Reynolds via holographic projection from the command carrier Humanity's Hope. "If we defeat their main fleet here, the Council's authority collapses everywhere." The combined Human Alliance fleet took position behind Mars, hidden from initial Council sensors. Unlike the mismatched defense at Alpha Centauri, this force had been meticulously prepared. Every ship carried technologies from multiple species, combined in ways the Council's rigid doctrines couldn't anticipate. When the Council armada arrived, High Chancellor Vereen personally led the attack. The massive fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect, overwhelming formation, a wall of destruction stretching across space. "Attention Earth forces," Vereen's transmission echoed across all frequencies. "Your rebellion ends today. Surrender immediately or face extinction." President Daniels stood on the bridge of the Humanity's Hope alongside Admiral Reynolds. His response was brief. "We decline." The Council fleet surged forward, exactly as predicted. As they crossed the orbit of Neptune, the first resonance array activated. Space itself seemed to ripple as gravitational forces suddenly multiplied. Dozens of Council ships found themselves pulled off course, colliding with each other as their navigation systems failed. "Defensive formation compromised," reported Captain Miller at Tactical. "They're attempting to compensate." Reynolds nodded. "Initiate lightning strike." Human vessels equipped with modified paddle drives jumped directly into the Council formation, a tactic previously considered suicidal. But enhanced with Vex computational systems, they calculated precise emergence points between enemy vessels. The battle quickly descended into the kind of close-quarters chaos Council doctrine specifically avoided. Human ships, smaller and more maneuverable, executed combat patterns that defied conventional strategy. Allied vessels contributed their own unique techniques, creating a battlefield environment no Council commander had ever faced. On the Council command ship, Chancellor Vereen's crystalline form fluctuated with stress. "This cannot be happening," the leader said as reports of mounting losses arrived. They're fighting without coherent strategy. No, corrected a junior tactical officer, risking punishment for speaking out. They're using multiple strategies simultaneously. Each ship group operates independently, but toward common objectives. As the battle raged, Dr. Harris's shield technology again proved decisive. Council weapons designed to overpower consistent defenses faltered against shields that adapted with each hit. Meanwhile, human weapons, enhanced by technologies from half a dozen resistant species, systematically disabled Council vessels rather than destroying them. 3 hours into the battle, Chancellor Vereen faced the unthinkable defeat. 1/3 of the Council fleet had been disabled. Another third had suffered critical damage. The remainder found themselves surrounded as Alliance forces emerged from hiding positions throughout the solar system. High Chancellor, came Admiral Reynolds' transmission. The continued loss of life serves no purpose. We offer terms. You offer terms. Vereen's voice betrayed disbelief. You are primitives. You cannot. 5 years after the formation of the Galactic Cooperative, Morgan stood on the observation deck of Earth's newest diplomatic station, Harmony Point. The massive structure orbited at the halfway point between Earth and Luna, its crystalline windows offering breathtaking views of both worlds. Quite different from Nexus Station, isn't it? Asked Commander Wright, now Admiral Wright, as she joined him at the viewport. Morgan nodded. Less intimidating by design. Below them, the Grand Assembly Hall hummed with activity as representatives from over 50 species prepared for the anniversary summit. What had begun as a desperate alliance had evolved into the most stable interstellar organization in known history. Ambassador Morgan. A young aide approached with a tablet. The Drakari delegation has requested a private meeting before the formal session. Morgan accepted the tablet, reviewing the request with raised eyebrows. Interesting timing. The Drakari were among the most vocal Council supporters. And now they want to discuss expanded technology exchange, noted Wright. 5 years ago, they called our propulsion systems dangerously unstable. Morgan smiled slightly. How quickly perspectives change when hierarchy collapses. They made their way through the station, passing representatives from worlds that had never communicated before the Council's fall. Species that had been deliberately kept isolated from each other now collaborated openly, exchanging culture and technology without restrictive oversight. In the smaller conference room, Ambassador Shellac of the Drakari waited. The scaled diplomat's once haughty posture had softened considerably since the days of Council dominance. Ambassador Morgan greeted Shellac, scales shifting to a respectful blue hue. Admiral Wright, thank you for meeting before the General Assembly. Of course, replied Morgan. How can we help the Drakari today? Shellac hesitated, clearly uncomfortable. My government wishes to formally propose integration of our medical research into the Cooperative's shared database. We have reconsidered our previous position on technological exchange. What went unsaid was that the Drakari had for centuries hoarded advanced medical technology, sharing only limited treatments with lesser species under Council doctrine. The Cooperative welcomed your contribution, said Morgan diplomatically. All member species benefit when knowledge flows freely. Indeed, said Shellac, shifting uncomfortably. We have also observed the recent joint colony established by humans and Navari in the Procyon system. My government wishes to explore similar partnership opportunities. Wright suppressed a smile. The former Council powers, after centuries of domination, now sought the favor of those they once controlled. Their meeting concluded with formal handshakes, and Morgan returned to preparation for the main assembly. As Earth's chief diplomat, he would deliver the opening address marking 5 years of cooperative governance. Later, standing before representatives from across the galaxy, Morgan felt the weight of history. The chamber design itself represented the new order, circular, with all delegates seated at equal height, a stark contrast to the hierarchical council chambers where species were literally ranked by elevation. 5 years ago, Morgan began, many believed cooperation without control was impossible. that without the Council's guidance, the galaxy would descend into chaos. He gestured to the chamber around him, to the peaceful representatives of formerly hostile species. Instead, we have witnessed an unprecedented era of innovation and discovery. The Esplith gravitational theories, once restricted, have revolutionized space travel. The Zora Collective's medical advances have improved quality of life across member worlds. Human adaptability has helped bridge cultural differences formerly considered insurmountable. From his seat, Kirath of the Navari, now Cooperative Security Director, nodded in acknowledgement. The Navari, once nearly erased from galactic memory, now held respected leadership positions throughout the organization. The fundamental principle of the cooperative remains unchanged, continued Morgan. No single species holds authority over others. Each contributes according to their strengths. Each receives according to their needs.